There's a specific kind of evening that people don't really talk about. Not the dramatic kind, not the crying on the floor kind that shows up in movies, just a Tuesday. You're doing something completely ordinary, washing a dish or waiting for water to boil, and your mind just quietly hands you their face. No warning, no reason. And you stand there for a second, holding a mug or a spoon, and the whole world just narrows. That's the thing nobody tells you about trying to forget someone you love. It doesn't feel like forgetting. It feels like remembering, on a schedule you never agreed to. You didn't choose to think about them just now. You weren't even sad, technically, but there they are, again. There's a behavior that almost nobody admits to. You still check. Not their messages. You're past that, mostly. But you check adjacent things. A mutual friend's story. The location tag of a place they used to mention. A playlist that might still have their name on it somewhere. You're not looking for anything specific. You just want to feel close to the outline of them for a moment. And then you close the app and feel a little embarrassed about it. That's not obsession. That's not weakness. That is a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Reaching for something that, for a long time, meant safety. Because here's what actually happened. Underneath all the love and the loss, your brain built a map, a neural map, quite literally, of this person. Where they fit in your day, what their presence felt like in your body, how the air changed when they were nearby. Neuroscientists call it attachment circuitry. Helen Fisher, who spent decades studying love inside an MRI scanner, found that being in love activates the same reward pathways as cocaine, not metaphorically, chemically, which means losing someone you love isn't just emotional. It is, on a biological level, a form of withdrawal, which explains a lot, actually. It explains why you can know, clearly, rationally know, that moving on is the right thing and still find yourself typing their name into a search bar at midnight. Not to find anything, just to see it appear, just to feel like they still exist somewhere in your world, even if only in a small glowing rectangle in your hand. You're not losing your mind. Your mind is just trying to find something it already memorized, and the advice doesn't help. You've heard all of it. Delete the photos. Block them. Stay busy. Give it time. And maybe some of that is true, in a practical sense, but none of it addresses the actual problem, which is that you're not just missing a person, you're missing a version of yourself, the one that existed inside that relationship, the one that laughed at certain things, or felt held in certain moments, or had somewhere specific to put all that tenderness. That's the part that doesn't have a name. The grief isn't only for them, it's for who you were when you were with them. If any of this is landing somewhere real for you, you're not alone in it. And if these quiet explorations of the heart feel worth returning to, subscribing means you won't miss the next one. There's something that happens around the 3 to 6 month mark that people don't expect. The missing doesn't disappear. It just changes shape. It stops being sharp. It becomes more like a bruise than a cut. You don't notice it until something presses on it. A song, a smell, the way light falls in a specific way on a Sunday afternoon that you can't quite explain. And most people interpret that as failure, as proof that they're not healing fast enough, as evidence that they loved too much, or too long, or too deeply. But actually, that tenderness is data. It tells you something important about your own capacity, about how fully you gave yourself to something real. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone lets themselves in that deeply. Here's the thing almost no one says out loud. Forgetting is the wrong goal. Not because you should stay stuck, not because holding on is healthy, but because the brain doesn't actually delete, it integrates. Every significant person you've ever loved becomes part of the architecture of how you love. They changed your nervous system. They expanded something in you, your ability to feel seen, or to show up, or to trust, or maybe just your tolerance for silence with another person. You don't forget them, you metabolize them, and that process takes as long as it takes. Psychologist Guy Winch writes about emotional first aid. The idea that we treat heartbreak far too casually compared to how seriously it actually injures us. We expect people to perform functionality while quietly bleeding. We tell them to move on, as if moving on were a switch. It isn't a switch. It's more like a slow thaw. And some mornings, you'll wake up and realize you didn't think about them before the day started. And that won't feel like victory. Exactly. It'll feel stranger than that. A little hollow, maybe. Like walking past a room you used to spend a lot of time in. You'll keep some things. Not on purpose, you won't decide to keep them. But the way you now notice someone who looks a little lost in a crowd. Or the thing they said once about patience that you've thought about more than they'll ever know. or the fact that you can now sit with sadness a little longer than you used to, without running from it. Those are yours. They came from knowing them. They don't leave when the person does. So if you're somewhere in the middle of this right now, not at the beginning, not yet at the other side, let that be okay. You don't have to be finished yet. You don't have to have arrived somewhere. The forgetting, if it comes, won't announce itself. You won't wake up one morning and think, today is the day I am over them. It'll be quieter than that. One day you'll realize that Tuesday evenings are just Tuesday evenings again, and you'll know, without needing to say it, that you made it through. There are so many quiet things the heart carries that never get named. If this one felt familiar, that's enough.